What's hatching, Toga peeps? We are back at you again. That's right. We are your last stop in your quest for Pokemon knowledge. Not because we're the worst, not because we're the best, but because you saved the best for last. We are Two Purious and the one and only man who can put the fizz back in your mouth.
Fizzy Stardust. I don't know why anybody ever took it out. That's my question.
Well, you know, kids want to try new stuff these days.
You stick with what you know.
Yeah.
Now, tonight, or tomorrow morning, which is probably more likely when you'll be seeing this, we have a special guest. A special guest correspondent, if you will. SaiaSandstorm, Shika, Awesomeness Jones.
What's up, chicken nuggets?
Right.
I forgot about that because there's not been a fried chicken and rice video in some time.
Yeah, I know.
And we'll get into that later. But if you want to see more videos from our special guest Shika, then we'll leave links in the bottom bar, and then you can go check it out. It'll be awesome.
Indeed.
Now, before we jump right into our main topic of the day, this was submitted by someone on my Facebook who's clearly deranged. He asked, would you rather eat your own shit like a big log, which I assume is kind of like a full 12-inch Subway sandwich. Like, that's what I picture. Or take a shot of your own jizz. This was submitted by a man named Frank.
What is wrong?
That was
I
awesome.
have no idea. Now, immediately when I read this, I was like, you're fucked up. And then the second thing I thought was, that's an easy question. It's easy. Hands down, I'm taking a shot of my own jizz. I think that it's probably less disgusting. It's only a shot. I mean, cause
yeah.
Take shots all day long, man.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who would choose to eat their own shit. That's disgusting.
Yeah, and I mean, you're talking about probably 2 pounds worth of shit as opposed to an ounce and a half worth of jizz.
Yeah. Even if it was like an ounce and a half, I don't know. The grossest thing in the world, I would take an ounce and a half of it over than a Subway sandwich long piece of shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, most people get grossed out by that because it's more of a taboo for a man to drink his own jizz than it is for him to eat his own shit.
Is it?
Well,
where's that written?
I don't know. That's just what I was thinking. I'm not going to say that I'd rather eat shit because I'd much rather take a shot of jizz.
I would rather take a shot of jizz.
I've had a vasectomy. I'm not even worried about the sperm being in there anymore. So it's even less disgusting for me.
Yeah, it's just, bodily fluid.
Really?
You want to weigh in on that, Shika?
Well, Shika has a 12-inch cock, so he, shoots loads that are gallons.
Oh, God. You could probably fill up 17 shot glasses with...
He makes thousands of dollars when he goes to the sperm bank, because they pay by the ounce.
That's on me.
Alright, so now that we've thoroughly grossed out everybody, and you've probably already turned off the damn podcast for that alone.
Yeah, now that we've been completely sexually deranged, let's entertain the kiddies with some Pokemon talk.
Yeah. So we brought Shika on to talk a little Pokemon trading card game with us.
Yeah, because I know nothing about the trading card game, so we needed somebody else, because if you ever listen to Fizz talk by himself, it's awesome, but it's Fizz talking by himself.
Yeah, I mean, no one wants to hear me ramble on about something I know moderately enough about. Like, I'm no expert. I still suck penis at that game. So, I mean...
Yeah, at that game, right.
And, So, I think first things first, because a lot of people out there are TCG beginners who are probably watching this, because, they don't sub me for that. Yeah. Let's start off with, some softball questions, like, what do you think the best way is to get started if somebody was interested?
Go to your local Pokemon League, definitely. They will help you out, for sure.
Alright, and if you guys don't know what the Pokemon League is, you can find it on Pokemon.com and search for leagues, and they will have like a list of like places will come up where you can go and join a Pokemon League. Clearly, the one closest to me is like an hour away, so I'm awesome like that. But I have not joined yet. Another way would be Pokemon's got their online game now. So if you just do the trainer challenge, I mean, you just get the beginning ins and outs of it. Like, you learn how to play, basically.
Yeah, get you accustomed to the rules and the feel of the game.
Yeah. But other than that, it's not going to teach you anything like how to be good or anything like that.
Yeah, the competitive battling equivalent to that is battling people in the Cerebi chat. You'll learn how to play the game, but you aren't going to get good beating those retards.
Yeah, and you don't get to use good cards.
They've got their Snivy Musharna decks, those are intimidating.
Well, I don't know, I got my Emboar starter deck now, I could just steamroll them. So if you're someone on the internet and you're like, I want information about the trading card game, where do you go?
Are you asking me that?
Yes.
Go to Pokegym. It's considered the place of noobs, I guess, but they do have a lot of information, and it's considered the official forum for Pokemon TCG. And then there's also Sixprizes, which they basically write articles by really good writers. Like I know one, Kenny Wisdom. And then Sixprizes Underground, which is $15 a month, but people that have topped in high level events and stuff write these articles, and they literally give you the best information you can find, so it's worth every penny.
Awesome.
And then of course fried chicken and rice.
Yeah, of course. You need to sub to Fried Chicken and Rice. We are pimping that channel right now.
It's probably my favorite channel to watch. No joke. It's no joke. It's one of my favorites. I don't watch that many. Even the people I'm sub to, I hardly watch them. I haven't watched a vid by Tiberius in 3 months, and
that's sad because you've been telling me how much you've been enjoying my Fire Red playthrough that I haven't been doing over 3 months.
Yeah, it's awesome playthrough, by the way.
Yeah, whatever.
But yeah, that's one of the few videos or channels that I'll drop whatever I'm doing and watch that right away.
Haven't you checked out the Top Cut Fizz, the podcast of, it's basically like this kind, it's a podcast and they talk about the TCG and they're really high level players.
Yeah, the Top Cut is something that I recently just started watching. They have live podcasts on, what day is that?
Thursday nights at 10 Eastern.
Yeah, and then also on their YouTube channel and their website, and they upload their podcasts and what have you. And sometimes they do impromptu testings, and you get to watch them play test with each other, and it's really cool because it's some of the best TCG players out there talking about the game, playing the game, etc.
And then, more importantly, the main thing they're trying to do, which they're trying to push for this game, is to have live coverage of events, because they don't have any of that. The Pokemon Corporation doesn't care if you know what's going on, compared to Magic that has, high-level events streamed and stuff.
Yeah, their whole thing is trying to grow the game and awareness for, the coverage and stuff, because it's important, and it changes, the game changes pretty frequently. As far as I know, I'm fairly new, but as long as I've been paying attention, it seems like the metagame shifts quite drastically.
Yeah, it's because of all the stuff I've named basically are kind of new additions, so maybe a long time ago the meta wouldn't have shifted as much, and there would have been a huge gap between the good players and the bad players, just because there's not enough resources for the bad players, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But now that we have all this stuff, I think the bar is going to be raised.
Definitely. I mean, I'm fairly new, and I don't think that I suck, but I don't think that I'm good either. And I've only been playing the game for like a month, and I've only been playing on Pokemon Online in the closed beta, which is fun, but it doesn't beat, I think, playing with real people.
Yeah, it's all about the experience of playing people in real life.
Yeah. Go outside, stop being cooped up in your room.
And grab your sunblock because we know you're going to need it.
Exactly, yeah.
Apply, grab your umbrella.
Now, what, for the more experienced TCG players out there, because I know I've got a few that watch my channel, and what would you recommend? Like, what are some good cards to look out for? Maybe something that's underrated that you think is going to be good.
Underrated?
Yeah, I think that's a good one. Go for the underrated card.
I can't really say if there's anything underrated. There's just like, people are starting to think about Samurott just because two of the big decks will fall to Samurott, because you've got Megazord, which runs Donphan, so Samurott one-shots that, and then you've got Reshiflosion, where Samurott would one-shot everything in the entire deck.
Yeah, I quite like Samurott, and it's a fairly cheap card right now that you could pick up for, I think, $3 or $4, but it's probably going to shoot up pretty quickly. I was running Samurott with Donphan just because they're two of the most bulky Pokemon, just because of their Pokebodies.
Yeah, they're identical.
Yeah. Which, they take 20 less damage from whatever your opponent uses, so if somebody does a move that's 70, it only does 50. And then they both hit for, decent damage. It's pretty nice. One card that I don't know if it's underrated, but it's interesting to me. I think that's kind of cool as far as babies go, even though I'm kind of getting away from baby Pokemon, is I like Kid in theory, which you can do 20 damage to any of the bench Pokemon. Right?
Yeah, it's definitely a solid card. People were playing it, but I think as people started to cut babies, that was like the first one to go, because it's not as important as Tyrogue or maybe Clayfa, and even then people are trying to not run Clayfa at all and run Manaphy.
Right. I've stopped running all babies, except for I always have one Tyrogue in the deck. It's just, it's too good not to have.
Even if you don't kill a baby, I've seen people kill 50 HP Pokemon with it in one turn, because you do like double plus power or something crazy.
Plus power, junk arm, get the plus power back. Yeah, definitely. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with the TCG fan base?
That I'd like to share?
Yeah. Are there deck options that you think are going to be good, or just anything that you want to get out there?
The projected top 3 decks are Megazone, which utilizes Yanmega and Magnezone. Just Yanmega for early game and then Magnezone for late game, but also Magnezone has draw power, so it's easier to match your opponent's hand with Yanmega. And between those two, they can take on a lot of threats. And then sometimes people tech in Kingdra Prime, which lets you every turn put a damage on your opponent's Pokemon, so it sets up for easier KOs. Another deck is Megazord, is what we call it, and it's basically just a bunch of stage 1s. It has Donphan, Zoroark, and Yanmega, and you basically just do a little bit of everything and make sure that you can handle most of the field between those 3 cards. And then lastly is Reshiflosion, which is Reshiram with Typhlosion. Reshiram is obviously an amazing, basic 130 HP, does 120, and then even Outrage is pretty good. And then you've got Typhlosion, which basically lets you bring energy back from the discard pile and attach them to your Pokemon. Comboed with Ninetales, which lets you discard fire energies to draw. It's like a perfect deck, and it's probably the most consistent choice out of the 3.
All right, yeah, that's I've been practicing with Yanmega, Magnezone, and Megazord, and choices that I quite like a lot. So that was a lot of good information, and I think that'll do it for the TCG for the day. Is there any last words you want to say, Shika?
I'm going to Pokemon Worlds in about a week or so in San Diego, and I'm going to do the last chance qualifier and hopefully get into Worlds, get as much coverage as possible, and it'll all go on my channel. And yeah, if you guys are interested in the Pokemon TCG, subscribe to Fried Chicken and Rice, check out the websites I mentioned, and I hope more of you join the game because it's really awesome.
Yes, definitely. So, definitely check out Shika's channel. I'll try to remember to leave links to Pokegym and Sixprizes, both sites that I use as well. So, thanks, Shika. Hopefully we can have you on again soon sometime.
Yes, thank you, good sir. It was a pleasure.
All right.
Alright, so now we've got a lot of TCG information out there. It's time to move on to some viewer questions. We got these from the Facebooks and from last episode's channel comments. So I'll start asking away. For the first question, this is a fairly common question for us to get. What's your favorite competitive Pokemon and why? And I'll let Tup field it first since he didn't get to say much at all.
Yeah, I know virtually nothing about TCG. I'm not very shy of that. But favorite competitive Pokemon and why? This is such a broad question. It's really hard to answer because so many different Pokemon do so many different things. And I'll save you from the ramble. And I'm gonna name a few.
All right, yeah.
If I had to say one favorite competitive Pokemon, it's at the moment, because everybody's favorite fluctuates.
Definitely.
At the moment, I am freaking digging Clefable. I've never liked Clefable, ever. But I started using one in my Fire Red LP, and I started looking at its moveset, and there's just so much stuff Clefable can do.
Oh, definitely.
It's got Cosmic Power, Belly Drum, it's got access to Soft Boiled, Wish, it has Magic Guard, so that's freaking beautiful. I mean, it can be a wall, it can be a semi-sweeper.
Tank, yeah.
Yeah. It's just an awesome poke.
Yeah, you know what I hate about Clefable, though? Is that it can do too many things.
Right.
I love the set build, but I've made one custom Clefable, and I'll never do it again, because there's just too many options. My brain just explodes when I go to Clefable and try to make a moveset.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same boat as you. I think I've made one Clefable set ever.
Yeah. I made a Charge Beam one for a Hail team. Charge Beam, Blizzard, Soft Boiled, and maybe Cosmic Power. Just just a troll. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, it's definitely an insane Pokemon to work with. If I'm going to say another one that I really like, and it's just I don't know why, but this 5th gen Pokemon grew on me the first time I used it was, we talked about it last time, and that was Chandelure.
Yeah.
I mean, its typing is excellent for the way the metagame is rolling right now, and I can't believe it doesn't get used more. I mean, I can see its drop in popularity with Drizzle teams being so prevalent since Garchomp got banned, but I mean, fighting types are all over the friggin' place in OU now. And you need a good ghost. So, I mean, it covers that. I mean, fire types running amok when rain isn't completely destroying them. And with its ability Flash Fire, that's just, I mean, you can completely wall two of the most important types in OU right now.
Definitely. One of my favorite Pokemon, I'm gonna interrupt, is Heatran. I love everything it does.
Right.
I've run physical walls, special walls, choice band,
right.
sub,
it's another one of those Pokemon that can pull off almost any use.
Yeah, I've done everything except Torment, because I hate it. It's just too easy. But, I stopped using it in 5th gen because of just how much weather there is, and whenever I see a rain team, it's like, oh, okay, Heatran is death fodder now, unless I brought a wall variant, which is pretty rare.
Right.
So it's just this Pokemon's completely useless now.
Yeah.
So it's tough to bring a fire Pokemon in and have it do well.
Right. Yeah, well, especially since Heatran really doesn't have an electric or grass type move to give it good coverage unless you give it HP or hidden power. That's one of the drawbacks to the Heatran.
Yeah, most definitely. It was a hard choice to make in 4th gen. I think it's a bit easier for someone to make now. I'd probably go HP Electric 9 times out of 10. Except for Gastrodon's getting a lot more popular now.
Right.
With, because people are just discovering Storm Drain. It fits really well into rain teams because it gets the boost from Storm Drain, and gets the Water Stab and all that.
Right.
And it tanks really well. So, and it's not like HP Grass is going to ruin a Gastrodon from a Heatran. It's not. Gastrodon's going to sponge it and KO back.
Oh, right. Well, most Gastrodons get run with more special bulk than anything.
Right.
And not many things can even one-hit KO it with Hidden Power Grass.
Oh, yeah. I couldn't tell you one that could do it.
Because I've seen quite a few different battles to where Gastrodon just takes grass moves like it's freaking nothing, to where you're thinking, oh, that's going to do take it down to the red, and it just barely gets it to half, and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah, and then it uses Recover, and then you die to Life Orb or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Gastrodon's one of those good Pokemon that's really good and fits really good into OU teams, but it'll probably never make it to OU.
Yeah, it's got P2 syndrome from 4th gen.
Right.
And P2 he was the perfect counter for almost everything that Dragon Danced.
Yep.
Gyarados was fucked, and the two big players were Gyarados and Mence. Before everybody discovered Mixed Mence, P2 would come in and say, fuck you, and be able to hit it with a ×4 effective move.
Yep.
And Trace Intimidate and all that, so. But yeah, do you have any other favorites?
Not really at the moment. Everything else just kind of comes and goes. I mean, like I said last video, I've really been digging Empoleon. Because nobody knows what the hell it does. I pulled off...
It's really one of those unsung heroes.
Right. I don't know if I ever posted a battle with it, but I used to rock a sub-Swords Dancing Empoleon, and it just used to ruin people, because nobody knew it had Aqua Jet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you get a Swords Dancer 2-up, you start Aqua Jetting shit, and it's over.
Love that thing. I never was able to get Swords Dance to work properly for me, but it was just one of those something random happened where it's like, why did that happen? Now it sucks now. But I would get random burns, I would switch in, take a resisted hit, and then you'd have Will-O-Wisp or something. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
But yeah, that's pretty much it for my favorites.
Yeah, as far as my favorites go for 5th gen, I don't know that I exactly have one. I've always liked the typing of the Latios and Latios, so maybe Latios. But I feel like a big whore. I just like the typing though. I wish it weren't so good. But I'm more of an offensive player, so it would not make sense to me to use Latios unless I'm using Reflect type, which is crazy.
Right.
I've been liking Analytic P2, which is kind of lolsy, but nothing's really sticking out to me. There's things that I like, but nothing that I like to put on my teams a lot.
Right.
There's things that just kind of fit in. But maybe my favorite Pokemon right now is Specs Ferret.
Specs Ferret.
Specs Ferret with Hyper Beam. Just because getting a kill with the thing is just ridiculously cool.
Yeah.
But the rest of the time I use it, it's just kind of there. Actually, there's a battle with it where it gets the kill. But that's another story.
Yeah.
So, the 4th gen, hands down, it was Heatran. I used it on every team ever. I started becoming really predictable by people who knew me.
Yeah.
Whenever an obvious fire type move was coming, Everybody went ground attack. Earthquake, earthquake, earthquake. Fuck, I lost C-Train.
Yeah.
Here's not so much a question, but a statement that I thought needed addressing by a guy named ST. No, shut the fuck up, Eric. That's his name. Alright. He said, Mach Punch and Aqua Jet won't one-hit Excadrill. Except for it will. Technician Hitmon Top can one-shot Excadrill with Mach Punch. Choice Band Azumarill will one-shot it with Aqua Jet. Outside of that, I'm not really sure. Maybe like a Choice Band Mach Punch from another fighting a type like Repulsion or maybe Infernape. But I mean, it's got a lot of HP, not so much bulk, but you know.
Right.
I just thought it needed to be addressed. You need to know Excadrills. It's got checks.
Right. Yeah, Excadrill, I mean, it didn't go Uber for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not because it isn't good. It is very good in the sand.
Yeah.
But outside of the sand, I mean, it's still a decent Pokemon, but it's not fast enough to do shit that it does when the sand's up.
Mm-hmm. 88 base speed's pretty good, but, 90 is not that fast. So you gotta think about that. And, when Technician Braylon comes out, that's gonna be pretty much a dedicated counter to, Excadrill, because it's gonna resist, the two main moves, Earthquake and Rock Slide. I mean, you could run Aerial. I think people, here's an insider tip. When that goes legal, start running Aerial Ace on your Excadrill, and if they have Breloom and you have an Excadrill out, don't set up, just go right for the Aerial Ace.
Yeah, expect it.
That's a pro tip, guys. Here we go. This is kind of a weird question by Trickster885. What are your thoughts on Blaziken going Uber since it will get wrecked by Specs Reshiram? I'm making a face. You can't see it.
Yeah, I'm making one of those. What the fuck does Specs Reshiram have to do with Blaziken going Uber?
You need to understand, guys. I'm sure there's a big long discussion about it on the video. But the thing about Ubers is it's a ban list. It's not
right.
It's not like something from UU going to OU.
Right.
It's totally different from that.
Smokin' doesn't put things in Uber because they think it will do well in Ubers.
Right.
They ban it from OU because it breaks the OU metagame.
That's it. That's all. I'm done. Next question, because that's all you need to say.
Right, because if we start getting into why was Blaziken banned, we're going to get a bunch of people bitching about how it shouldn't have been banned or how it should have been banned, and we're not going to go down that route because I honestly don't miss it.
I don't. I thought it was a good ban. I mean,
right.
I'm going to leave it at that.
Right.
Okay, here we go. This is a good question for our newer players. His name is Professor Branch. Lol, 'cause tree. And he said, I may sound like a noob, but can you explain tier names? Take it away, Tup.
And I mean, just like Fizz says, for someone who's not familiar with competitive battling, who's just getting into it, you hear somebody say OU, UU, Ubers, RU, BL, stuff like that. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But pretty much what it is Ubers is pretty much the best Pokemon, and that's, like Fizz mentioned, Ubers is a ban list. And that's the ban list for OU, which stands for overused. And they call it overused because they are the most used Pokemon in the metagame.
Right, which is a big misconception that I think a lot of people don't understand. When a lot of people will complain about Smogan put this in this tier and that tier. No, they didn't. The people who play the game did that. By not using it, we're using it.
Right. When you are on Smogan's PO server, every time you battle on there on I think it has to be a ranked match for it to affect the tiers. But any time you battle in a ranked match and whatever you're doing there, that gets counted towards what happens in the tiers. So, if you're going to battle and use a bunch of douchey Pokemon, not only are you probably going to lose, but you affect where those Pokemon go in the usage chart. That's why it's called a usage chart, because it's how much they get used. And I don't really give a shit about how many people are going to bitch about how usage isn't the best method for basing a tier system, but I have yet to see another tier system that has worked as well, as consistently as Smogan's has since they've started putting up tiers.
Right. You know, a lot of people try and make their own tiers, but it's based on opinion and stuff. I mean, we tried it with, when we had Abra's Asylum as a forum and website. We had a committee of, four of us? Or 5? I think it was just 4 of us, and we were, top tier battlers, so we know what we're talking about, but
right.
A lot of the times we would not agree on what went where.
Well, especially when we got out of OU.
OU is pretty blatantly obvious for the most part. But when you get down to lower tiers, it's hard to say that doesn't belong there, that doesn't belong there, because everything just kind of blends in, and it can get used around in different tiers.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most effective way to do it without bias.
Right. It is the most unbiased and logically sound way to do it.
Right.
Because they're obviously getting used because they work. Right. People wouldn't use the same Pokemon 14,000 times unless it was doing something right. I mean,
right.
we can make arguments like we said before. Gastrodon would be an excellent OU Pokemon, but it will probably never get used enough to break out of the tier it's in.
Right, because it's a niche Pokemon.
Right.
But now to rein us back into the question, we kind of got off track. But right. the tier names, it's overused for the things that are most used, underused, everything rarely used, never used. So the tier names are pretty self-explanatory. Borderline is borderline between OU and UU. It's ban list.
Right, and that is not... People get confused about the ban list. Ban lists are not meant to be a functioning tier.
Right.
Which is
Don't
BL...
go around asking for BL matches.
Right, there's, 4 Pokemon in there now?
Something like that. Back in the day, it used to be a tier. It's not anymore.
Right. It stopped being a tier in 4th gen.
Yeah. I think before Platinum came out.
Yeah.
So, yeah. There you go. That is tier names and a brief rant by the both of us.
Okay. Something that came up the other day in a conversation.
Bring it on.
If I want to have, or if someone asks you for a UU match, you do not have to use only UU Pokemon. You can use UU and every tier below that.
That's another misconception among newer players.
Right.
You're allowed to use Pokemon in that tier and below that tier. So
there was a full blown out flame argument in the Zat the other day. I'm just thinking,
wow.
Come on. You can, if someone says they want a UU match, you can use UU, RU, and what if we ever get an NU.
Did someone seriously complain that somebody used an RU Pokemon in a UU battle?
Dude, I'm telling you, it was legit flame on
Who
Human Torch shit going down.
People make me mad and upset about how they exist and the choices they make with their words.
Right. I mean, I don't have problems with people making honest mistakes, but when 50 people are telling you, hey man, that's not the way it is, we're not pissed at you or anything, we're just letting you know, and then they go straight up, like I said, straight up flame on.
Just be humble, be nice, treat others how you'd like to be treated.
Right.
There you go. I think that's No, here you go. This is some words that I've lived by for a very long time, and my mom had even instilled them in me. It is from a very great film of my generation, and my brother's more closely, but it's a film called Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and the what they live by is be excellent to one another. That's it. Just do that. Right?
Exactly.
There you go. So, Tup agrees, so it's clearly correct.
Yep.
How do you... Okay, this is a question by Sluisy. Sluissi? Sure. How do you feel about how many people, even people considered to be good battlers, seem to be trying to yank the OU metagame back to essentially the same it was in 4th Gen? And it's an odd question, but I thought it needed to be addressed, even if I don't exactly understand it fully.
Yeah, we were both stymied by this quite a bit because we don't understand the exact point of the question. I mean, what are they trying to make this OU metagame go back to? Because about half of last generation's OU Pokemon are not in OU.
Right.
So the metagame isn't even being based around them, and I don't understand where he's talking about them trying to flip back to it.
Yeah, well, you think about it this way, in the top 5 OU and 4th gens, there's a very distinct Watergrass Fire Core, Heatran, Suicune, and Shaman. Two of those Pokemon are in UU.
Yep.
But I have a theory. I was thinking about this earlier, after we kind of discussed it, what the fuck. I had a theory that we're going back to using big-time Hori Pokemon. I like, that's the only thing I could decipher out of it. Like, people aren't being as creative, and people are kind of just, getting into a mold, and it's very consistent what you're gonna see.
Well, unfortunately, I think it's gonna be that way until the metagame develops a little bit more.
Yeah. Even then, I think it will probably still stay that way, because, people want to win. And
right.
Especially when we're talking about the simulators like Pokemon Online, you're gonna see, big time rain teams and sand teams, just like before the great dragon banning of 4th Gen, Latias and Mence, they were on literally almost every team.
Yep.
Scarfer Specs, Latias, and Mixments destroyed teams together. Really good partners. And it's just, people want to use good Pokemon. If that question was meant to be something else, I don't really grasp it. Maybe you could resubmit it, reword it, revise it. But I felt like any question that our viewers ask should be addressed, and, at least it will lead to some sort of discussion between Tup and I.
Right. Well, I'm just trying to think of the way the metagame is this gen is just so much different from last generation.
Oh yeah,
because,
miles different.
We discussed it last time. It's just so much more offensively based because there's so many harder hitters.
It's like 4th Gen's Dragon Ball, and 5th Gen's Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball GT.
Yeah, that is my favorite meta podcast quote ever.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking through, when I was on the Meta podcast, I was looking through the questions, I was looking at things that might be asked so I could, not act like an idiot while I was on there. I wanted to be prepared. And I saw that, and I had said it before, and I was just like, I gotta mention that, because it's like the greatest analogy of all time.
Right.
In 4th Gen, things were more calculated. There was, cores were more distinct, and there was a lot of defensive and, a lot of strategy going into it. And then in 5th Gen, it's just like ram-pashing things that are insanely overpowered. Hi, my name is Haxorus. I have 147 base attack.
Right.
Fuck you. Like, stab outrage. That's ridiculous. That's so much power.
Well, I don't know if you remember, but back when 4th Gen started, it was a little bit closer to that.
Mm-hmm.
Because as some of the more, they're not as offensive. Obviously, it wasn't as offensive as it is now.
Right.
But until the harder hitters got banned in OU, it wasn't nearly as stally as it became once the Fire, Water, Grass core became standard.
Right. Yeah, I remember.
Because you had Garchomp was pretty much the hardest hitter in the game before it got banned. If you had a Garchomp on your team, you were taking out 2 to 3 Pokemon. It didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And then Latios was in OU for a while, and it just wrecked shit. And then, like you said...
Latios is my homegirl.
Right.
Love Latios.
I don't think Mintz got Draco Meteor until the Platinum move tutors, right?
Right.
Well,
right.
Platinum changed the metagame in 4th Gen just so drastically.
Oh, hi, Bullet Punch Sizer.
Oh, yeah.
Went from, the bottom OU tier to #1 most used Pokemon in the game. Oh, shit.
Yeah, it went from you never see it to it's on every freaking OU team ever.
Oh, yeah.
But, if we see another shift like that, I think it'll probably be a little while. Because I don't think Latios is going to get banned yet. I really don't. Maybe once Thundurus goes Uber, it might get banned after that, because I think it will probably be the next biggest offensive threat to Thundurus.
Yeah.
Just because Vex Draco Meteor wrecks everything.
Yeah. Here's, fun fact for you. If you have, the Specs Latios with Draco Meteor can do whereabouts of 50% to a Ferrothorn if it's not especially defensive.
Right.
That's a resisted hit.
Yeah. That's a resisted hit from a bulky Pokemon, whether there's investment in it or not.
Exactly. That's huge.
Right.
So, after Thundurus goes, which it will, and that's not if, that's when,
yeah.
Latios is going to get a look at it. Most definitely.
Well, you know what? As soon as Thundurus goes Uber, I am going to whore the shit out of Empoleon. Because when was the last time you saw Thunderbolt on Latios?
I use it a lot.
Right, but the most common players don't.
Yeah,
which blows my mind, because it needs it.
Yeah, you know what? Chase gave me his OU database before, he released it out, and I was looking through it, just seeing, what people were using.
Right.
And I was like, alright, here's something that looks familiar to me. On 4th Gen, when I was using Latios a lot, I used Draco Meteor and Dragon Pulse on all my choice Latios sets, because I didn't like Trick. And it has that, plus Surf, then Trick, and I was like, well, why would you do that? You're wasting a really valuable moveset.
Right.
You need that Thunderbolt. I think it's really important to have.
Oh, I think it is too, but people have just gone... Well, I think people have gotten so far away from it because with Rain, you can use so many other Pokemon with Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
Especially Thundurus.
Yeah. So, that's true. That's a good point. Very valid. I did not think that.
Plus, once Thundurus goes OU, that's 99% of the threats to Empoleon, so, I'm just gonna whore the shit out of that guy.
Swords Dance, Aquajet?
Yep.
In the rain?
In the rain.
Oh yeah, baby. Here's a next question.
Yeah, now that we completely got away from the actual point of that question.
The people love it. I know they do.
Yeah, they do.
Matten Yui is his name. He says, I like hearing about new threats that arise and how to specifically counter them with a general strategy. Take, for example, which we will. We'll probably discuss this one best because there aren't that many new threats right now.
Right.
Porygon 2. Parentheses, absolute beast. Close parentheses. How do you stop it? A fighting move, right? Well, what happens late in the battle when you have no fighting moves left? What are your guys' personal strategies? that you would recommend using. I consider myself a skilled at the game, but I enjoy taking new suggestions that may not have considered. So, usually, with team preview, you know what your opponent's packing.
Right.
And I know some people don't take notes when I started taking notes because it's there. Other people are gonna do it. They're gonna write your team down. That's just how it is.
Right.
So yeah, I don't consider it an advantage. I consider it level playing field. So I'll write down teams and I'll look at their teams for a little fair bit. If I'm playing a fairly serious battle, if I'm not being serious, I don't give a shit. I'll write the teams down, but I won't really look at it. Just take notes of what is dead and what's still alive. But in a competitive battle, I'll look at their teams and I said, okay, for instance, I'll look at the team and say, okay, that Porygon 2 is going to be a massive threat to me. It's super bulky. I don't have anything that can hit it super hard, except for this one. Let's say I have a Choice Band and Fernape. Except for Choice Band and Fernape. I'm going to do my damnedest to keep that Choice Band and Fernape alive until that Porygon 2 is dead.
Right.
That's what you gotta do. Unless you have another big player that can status Porygon 2 with a Toxic. Or maybe even if you have Knockoff on your team.
Oh yeah, Knockoff will destroy Porygon 2.
Knockoff is just kind of a nice, tech to have in the hole, whenever you see an NFE Pokemon. Because, generally when people use NFEs, they're usually a bulky variant with Eviolite.
Right.
Okay. So just, keep in mind, guys, here's another pro tip from Fizz. Knockoff. It's a handy little move that not a lot of people use right now, and it's gonna be nice to have. It's just, it's gonna be one of those things when you have it, you don't need it, but when you don't have it, you need it desperately.
Right.
So, basically what I'm trying to say is when you see a Pokemon that's gonna be a big threat to your team, you have to go, okay, that's the Pokemon I need to kill. How am I gonna take care of it? Think of a way that you're gonna do it, and make sure that you don't let your counter to it die. If you have no counter to it, then good game, he wins.
Right. And like Fizz said, with team preview, it became so much easier to know what's gonna be a threat to your team.
Mm-hmm.
Because you see everything. And that's something that you should know. When you build a team, you need to know what the opponent can have to destroy you. Because knowing your weaknesses is pretty much the best thing you can do.
Right.
Because there are no teams that can be 100% perfect where nothing is going to threaten them at all. So keep it in mind as to what you need to look out for before you even get into the team preview is always a good thing.
Definitely. That's one of the most important things to team building. If, for instance, you go to a forum who's got a Rate My Team section and they're fairly good team builders and stuff, a lot of the times you'll see a threat list.
Right.
And, that's good to have. That's a good thing to think about when you're building a team, especially if you're going to build a team that you're going to use a lot and you're battling in a competitive environment. Okay. So, this is my favorite question, and I thought that it probably will take the most time, even though it is the least amount of words.
Right.
You ready for this? How is a good way to start a Pokemon channel? By Classy Norm. Hi, Classy Norm. You had the best question of the day. You get 7 points.
Yay, gold star.
Keep track. I'll give out points. Points will probably mean nothing, but I'll give them out. So, just keep track of how many points you get.
Yep.
And don't cheat. So, Tup, how do you start a good Pokemon channel? What is a good way to do it?
Well, I don't know what the best way to start one is, but I can give you some tips as to what you need to make a successful Pokemon channel.
Lay it on me.
Despite what anybody says, and I don't care, at least to me, you want to have a decent quality camera, but it does not have to be freaking pristine. I mean, obviously, if you're recording off an emulator, you're going to have good quality. But if you're somebody like me who uses an actual webcam to record their battles, you want to have decent quality. It doesn't have to be top of the line.
It doesn't have to
HD.
be NVZ.
Right.
He uses the camera still. That's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Have you seen his videos? They're unreal.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you know, a little grainy is fine, as long as it's not blurry.
Right. Well, people get so wrapped up in, oh, I'm sorry, the quality's so bad, guys. I don't give a shit about the quality of the picture as long as the quality of the narration makes up for it.
Right.
Because 9 times out of 10, I don't watch the battle, I just listen to it while I'm doing something else.
Yeah, me too.
And that's why I can't stand to watch Pokemon videos with music. Because I don't watch the video, I listen to the narration.
Yep.
And with music, well, shit, I can get that anywhere. I don't have to watch your channel for that. You know?
This is the age of the narrator.
Yeah.
You know, a year ago, 2 years ago, whenever I started, there was a lot of people who did narrate, and that was fine, and they did really well. Because I think there's been a shift also, and Ridley kind of brought it up in Quid. He said it's funny how all these people want to get into Pokemon now, meaning, you know, big channels that are talking partnership with certain people.
Right.
Even though, while the community is at its most shit as it's been, like, the skill level, there's been a significant drop-off in skill level.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Even me, like, I don't really give a shit anymore. I used to be die-hard, like, I need to win. Super competitive, super wanted to just humiliate everyone I played. I grew up a little bit. When I lost, I was sour. Especially when I didn't think I deserved it. But, you know, you live, you learn.
Yeah, I remember those battles.
Yeah. Where was I? No, okay. And, so, you know, there used to be a lot of music channels, but, now it's become an entertainment thing more than it's become of a skill-based game.
Right.
It's more about entertainment. It's moving into the direction of, are you funny? Are you entertaining? Can you grab somebody's attention and keep it? It's that sort of thing. You need to have, I don't want to say a niche, but you need to have the ability to be not necessarily entertaining either, but you just need to be able to keep somebody's attention, keep them involved in what you're saying. It doesn't matter what you're saying specifically, as long as it's interesting to the viewer. Like, take, for example, Wild Chase. He is, in my opinion, kind of dry, but he's very informative in his battles. Same as, like, DMAC and, you know, whatever. They're not so much entertainment-based as they are mechanic-based. I think that's a good distinction to make, because then you look at other people who are, you know, make jokes or whatever. Cloud's Liberation goes crazy.
Yep.
Hayden talks about penises all day long. And, you know, people like that.
Right, he has the right demographic to be able to talk to people like that. He's hitting the teeners and the tweeners, and they enjoy cock jokes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, as much as I despise the way he narrates, I can't blame him for doing it because it's obviously working for him.
Right.
I mean, you gotta respect the fact that he's doing what it takes to make money on the internet.
Here you go. Don't hate the player, hate the game, baby.
Exactly.
There you go. You know, whatever, Hayden. It's not my cup of tea, but, you know, respect the game.
Right.
So basically, again, what I'm getting back to is, you know, you gotta have a demographic, I guess, is, you know, tough kind of just hint on there. I think I have a specific, like, fan base. My fan base is not wide and varied, I don't think. There's just, like, I think the people who like my kind of style usually just like other kind of narrators like me, kind of scattered, and maybe not totally serious all the time, just yelling craziness.
Exactly.
So it's...
And you're gonna get that once you get, like Fizz said, once you establish a pattern of how you're going to be uploading and how you're going to be narrating, and you place yourself as either an entertainer, a knowledge guy, or a subtle mix.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no other stuff.
Yeah, there's not much else you could do. I mean, you could do something different. Like, you could show Pokemon Battle and just do a stand-up routine at the same time. But, you fall into the category of entertainer.
Exactly.
Which is, a fairly good idea. Someone should do that.
Yeah.
Give me credit for it if you do it. I like the idea.
This was Fizz's idea.
Yeah. If you ever make it big, don't forget who I am.
Exactly.
But, yeah, when you first start off your channel, you're not going to be there right away. It takes a while to find your voice, find out who you are as a narrator. And that sounds weird and stupid, but it's true.
Right.
Go back to my first video, my first 50 videos, and then watch my last 50 videos. And you'll go, whoa, this is not the same guy. But it is. It's just, I've evolved in a different way. It's odd. Right.
Well, it's just, like Fizz said, it's not so much a skill game anymore. And I think the reason that is because we're in a brand new generation.
Yeah.
I mean, the metagame is still, a clusterfuck of shit going on. So, there isn't an established standard of how good somebody should be.
Right.
There's the people who go all out and use the best Pokemon, and then there's just the other people. So, and there's always going to be that war as to, are you going to use the Pokemon you want to use because that's who you like to use, or are you going to use the Pokemon to win and go straight off a strategy because you're going to be playing other people who use top-tier Pokemon to win? Wow, Chase. But anyways, and again, there's nothing wrong with that. People frown on whoring all day long, but at the end of the day, those are the people who are beating your ass and you're just bitter about. Because let's face it, they're the top-tier Pokemon because they're the best stuff you can use. And if I'm not going to say you're a douche because you're using the best stuff you can use. If I'm going to war, I'm not going to take a freaking BB gun with me because it's my favorite gun.
There's some strong memories attached to that BB gun. I ought to take this.
Seriously. And of course, that's an overly dramatic comparison, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
It's valid in its exaggeration.
Yeah. And you should never hate someone on the style of play that they choose to play.
Oh,
because,
exactly.
It's at the end of the game, at the end of the day, it's a game, and people are going to play however they want to make it more fun for them. You want to use things that don't work in standard, don't do that. And if you want to use Rapution, Ferrothorn, Tyranitar, etc., go for it. Who gives a shit?
Right.
Just,
and if you aren't going to use those Pokemon, if you aren't going to use the top-tier Pokemon, be prepared to stop people that do use them.
That's my biggest gripe about Pokemon in general.
I love original sets, but if you're going to build original sets, build them to work in OU if that's where you're going to be battling. Don't bring a bunch of shit Pokemon who can't fight their way out of a paper bag and then bitch because somebody whores you to death.
Yeah, and it's not fair to the other player.
Oh,
really.
Exactly.
If you're going to bring something like, I'm going to bring a Teeter Dance physical Mr. Mime, it's not fair for you to complain if somebody's using a Latios. And it's not fair for them either, because I'm sure they go into it expecting a challenge, not someone fucking farting around.
Right.
And it's, just, if you're going to do stuff like that, then stick to other people who do stuff like that.
Right.
And, then everybody can, just play as they wish, and everything will be okay.
Exactly. You need to find, especially if you're going to be uploading frequently, you want to find a battle buddy.
Yeah.
Because, Fizz and I have been battle buddies pretty much since day one.
Since I came into the game, Sub started before me, way before me. Since
Yeah.
I came into the game, as soon as I figured out, hey, you could Wi-Fi battle, and I found a Pokemon website that did that, me and Tup were together doing it all night long.
Right. Yep.
And if
we bit our way through many pillows.
Yes, we have. And if the Tup's first channel was still up, I'm sure I made up half of the videos there.
All right. I think you were 5 of the first 10.
Yeah.
And I think Mech Warrior was the other half.
And then we discovered Ridley. I had a month where all I did was battle Ridley, and it was my next 3, out of the 5 videos that I uploaded, 4 out of 5 of them were Rich. So it's
I remember
but they're
that.
good. Yeah. And my titles were, yes, Ridley again. Yes, him again.
But I'm glad you mentioned Rich, because that brings me to another point, something you want to have. And this isn't even just for a Pokemon channel, but as a Pokemon battler in general, you want to have somebody that knows more about the game than you do.
Mm-hmm.
Rich knows so much shit about this game it makes me sick sometimes. I mean, I'm not hating on him at all, but he knows so much stuff. He is my go-to person when I need help with something.
Definitely. I mean, and he has off-the-wall ideas that work a lot of the times, and it's just, he understands the mechanics of the game. He took the time out of his day, out of his life, to learn how things work and how to do things properly.
Don't give him that shit. He's freaking idiot savant at Pokemon. He just looked at the game and was like, oh, okay. I swear.
I don't know, man.
Cause I think he had one 5th gen battle and already knew the entire metagame like the back of his hand.
As far as 5th gen goes, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, a lot of the mechanics carried over, but as far as the metagame goes, I think, he's not battled very much, but he knows how things are going to work.
Oh, exactly. I swear he slept on his DS and osmosized the knowledge.
We love Ridley so much.
Yeah.
You guys should too. If he still posted frequently, he would be insane.
Oh, yeah.
You guys should still check out his channel. If I can remember, I'll try to leave a link there too.
CaptnRidley.
CaptnRidley. Got so many links I have to leave. Hopefully I can remember them all.
Well, if you remember them all, I'll copy them off of you.
Alright, so that pretty much does it, unless there's anything else that you want to discuss really quick. Or
is there anything else we could talk about with the channel? Because we kind of really went off the wall when we were talking about how to make a successful channel.
Yeah, that's true, we did. So let's kind of recap that and rein it in a little bit. How to start a good channel. Firstly, I would say you have to be a narrator.
Yes.
You have to be able to grasp the attention of the viewer, whether it be through knowledge of the game or some kind of entertainment value, or maybe a hybrid of both. But you have to be good at doing it. It's going to take a while to find your voice.
Yep.
It doesn't happen overnight for a lot of people. Almost everyone. I'm sure it does for some people, but, most of the time it doesn't.
Something we forgot to mention that just dawned on me.
Bring it on.
This is a must. And I don't care what anybody says, this is a must. You have got to have some form of editing software.
Oh, yeah, baby.
You cannot just throw up a raw video recorded in real time. Unless you've got a lot of shit to say about that battle, you cannot do it.
Yeah.
Don't even try, because if I see you recording in real time, I'm going away from that fucking video.
That's an X.
That shit is painful to watch.
It really is. So you have to at least speed up the video times 2 at least.
Yes.
Unless you got a lot to say. Even if you have a lot to say, here's my advice to you: record with a camera or a webcam, because the time you'll take in between moves is enough time to get your thought across.
Right.
If you don't have a lot to say and you're just quick and to the point, go for the emulator if you want. Otherwise, webcam is going to be your best option. Make a lot of content. Don't short yourself out, though. I mean, when I first started out, I put out, whenever I had a good battle, I'd go to my computer and put it up.
Right.
I think, one a day is the absolute most anyone should post, just because
Right.
you want to get you want to put out a lot of content at the beginning to get your fan base, but you don't want to overflow the market so much that people aren't going to watch what you already did.
Right, and that's something you can monitor with your views.
Yeah.
If you notice you're uploading every day, and you're getting, say when you first start out, you might get like 20 views a day.
Sure.
If you're pimping it out in like a Zat or something. Because
Right.
you pimp it out in a Zat, at least 10 people are going to click the link.
Yeah,
And
everybody likes to
that
watch
gives you a
battles.
view,
Yeah.
whether they watch it or not. So, monitor your view count. If you notice it's steadily dropping, it's probably, and you're posting very frequently, it's probably because you're posting too frequently. And I just recently noticed that with my Fire Red LP.
Mm-hmm.
Because the first couple weeks, I was uploading every freaking day. But I noticed when I slowed down on the weekends, my view count started coming back up. So, it is possible to post too much content.
Yes.
I mean, if you've got something you have to put up now because it affects tomorrow, do it.
Right.
But don't upload more than one battle a day.
Right.
Because I can guarantee you one of those videos is not going to get views.
Yeah, it'll usually, if you're uploading them back to back, it'll usually be the one that you uploaded first. It's gonna suffer.
Right.
And you want people to watch your stuff. That's the main goal of having a channel. You want people to watch your stuff, so, like Tup said,
Right.
there is such thing of uploading too often. But you do want to have a lot of content. Especially when you're starting out.
Right.
As time goes on, you get some leeway and you're going to want to slow down a little bit. Eventually post every other day. And then if you're like me, you say, fuck everyone for a week or so. And then, then you come back and everybody's like, yeah, you're back. I like that.
Another thing, don't be afraid to have a life and feel you are obligated to post to YouTube.
Yes.
I remember when I first started out, I thought I had to post shit. You do not have to. I'm all for having a real life. You need to have a real life outside of YouTube, because at the end of the day, you turn the computer off and it doesn't mean a fucking thing.
Right. So,
keep in mind, you need to have a life outside of YouTube, because if all you do is post to YouTube, you're going to get obsessed with that crap. Mm-hmm. And you're going to be clicking refresh every 5 seconds to check to see if somebody commented on your video, or if you got another view, or you got another thumbs up. I was in that boat at one point.
Oh yeah.
I can remember I was laid off for a summer, and that was when I started uploading big time.
Yeah.
And battling a lot, and I was like, oh, I gotta put up this stuff. Oh, where are my comments at? Blah, blah, blah. You do not want to go to that place, because it is just a desperate, dark place that is lower than the very low of WoW's emo moments.
And a lot of our viewers probably are in that high school age.
Right.
Enjoy your high school years. Like,
exactly.
You think it sucks now, but, when you graduated high school, you're going to go, fuck, I wish I'd done this, I wish I'd done that, I wish, I'd taken advantage of the things that I could have taken advantage of.
Right. When you don't see all of your friends for a month, you don't think, it was so fucking worth it because I got 10 views on my last video. You don't.
You don't.
You don't.
So, have that life. Definitely, real life is always greater than anything on the internet.
Right.
So there you go. And I think that would probably wrap it up.
Yeah, I think we kind of beat that with a stick pretty good.
Yeah, this is a really long episode, so hopefully people stick around and watch the whole thing, because I think it was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was. Bravo.
All right.
Golf clap.
Yes. Just sounds like fapping.
Yeah.
And on that note, we may not always be your first choice, but we are always your last resort. See you later, guys.
Catch you on the flip side. Peace out.